Hey guys, Randy Random here with another MLB The Show 20 video. So today I kind of want to touch on the two player programs that are currently out right now. One is for the Bob Gibson and a Jackie Robinson card. Both of them are diamonds. So I want to offer some tips and advice on how to go about completing the moments as easily as possible, especially on the particular moments that might, give you a bit of grief. But before I get into the video, if you would please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, I'd really appreciate it. So let's get right into it. One of the players, so to get to the player programs, you want to scroll over to programs, and these are the featured programs. Oh no, I'm sorry. The player programs. Let's take a look at Bob Gibson first. So let's take a look at his card real quick. He has very good stamina. 100, anything over 100 is pretty decent. Respectable hits per nines, K per nines at 88 and 86. His control at 72 is decent. You might have a little bit of trouble locating with him at times, but not too bad. And that really what stands out about this card is it has the 4 pitches that you really want to have on a pitcher. You have your fastball, your slider that breaks left to right, and then you have your curveball and changeup. So pretty good pitch selection. At this point in the game, he's probably going to be viable for some of you guys. So it might be worth the grind to get him. If you do want to get this card, the easiest way to get him is by knocking out the moments, which will give you 42. As you can see, I've done all the moments. And then the missions, go ahead and go through the play versus CPU and defeat the Cardinals on All-Star difficulty. You get the last 8 points that you would need to get the Bob Gibson. That's probably your easiest route, is just completing the moments and then go ahead and beating the CPU on All-Star. If we look at the moments specifically, they're not too difficult. I know sometimes the pitcher moments can be a little bit frustrating with the defense acting up and making boneheaded mistakes. But the very first one is strike out 5 batters and don't give up 3 runs. It's on All-Star difficulty, which isn't the easiest, but I mean, there's no win condition. You just need to strike out 5 batters. The second one here, for example, you just need to pitch 3 innings, strike out 1 batter per inning on average on veterans, so not too bad. This one right here is probably going to be the one that's going to give people the most grief, because you need to have 8 innings of basically not giving up a run. So there's a lot that can go wrong with your pitch locations or your defense not having your back, where you're going to give up a run and end up having to restart the moment. But I do have a little bit of advice regarding this one in particular, and it'll actually help you with all of these, because a lot of them have strikeout conditions. So for example, here you need to strike out 12 batters and not give up 2 runs. It's on veteran difficulty, no win condition. So here, strike out 4 batters and tally a hit. Pitch 2 innings, strike out a batter on All-Star, and then strike out 5 batters. So all of them really have strikeout conditions. So I want to go into this moment and give you guys a couple of tips on how to complete how to get strikeouts really. And this one in particular is really frustrating sometimes. It took me 2 times, but I can see it being hard. I maybe got lucky where the computer wasn't getting any hits, but let's take a look. All right, so as far as how to pitch in these moments, it's not really rocket science. What I found really worked for me is to take that 4-seam fastball and really just locate the corners. Just hit the corners early on. Make sure that you get okay, well, I got a ball there, but you want to make sure you get 2 strikes early on. So there's a strike there. Try to hit the corners. Again, his control isn't the best, so it's not going to be exact every single time. I got lucky there and hit the black. And once you get your 2 strikes, I would recommend going for the slider. So you hit the slider and then you just place it just outside the strike zone. Here on righties, it's pretty easy. I didn't locate that time. So once again, he didn't go for it. But there's something about the CPU that just doesn't like sliders away, as you can see there. I know I'm using meter pitching. Not everybody likes meter pitching. It's just my preference. But it's going to be the same thing no matter what. So you want to hit the corners with the fastball early on. Make sure you get those the 2 strikes without falling behind too much. So let's go here. Okay. So let's do that one more time just to kind of show you guys. So we get our fastball trying to get it in the corner. Let's try to get it up and in now. Oh, missed my spot. Let's go down and away. Okay, missed there. So I'm falling behind here, but if I can manage to get this strike, I should still be okay. So you get a pop up. So it didn't work that way. Let's try it again on the third batter. It should be okay. The important thing really is not to give up that run. Honestly, you're gonna want to not let the computer make good solid contact, because the strikeouts are gonna come. Here we get a lefty. Oops, missed my spot. Alright, so we get the batter on 2 strikes again. We're ahead in the count. So against lefty, I actually would recommend doing a changeup low. For some reason, the slider, when it hangs on lefties, just isn't quite as effective, I find. So try to do the changeups low. Just kind of spam that pitch, and eventually you usually get the strikeout. So the key here is sliders away on righties, changeups low on lefties. So as long as you follow that and you really don't get unlucky hanging something or you miss your spot, then you should be okay. The key is to get ahead in the count, not fall behind like I just did there. But if you minimize falling behind on the count, you should be okay. That was a bad pitch, actually. I wasn't thinking. So you're better off giving up a walk than giving up a run, or a home run, I mean. So there we go. You get that early strike. That one I missed my spot. And here again on the lefty, let's do a changeup low. And we get a strikeout. Alright, you guys, so the other player program that recently came out was the Jackie Robinson Evolution player program. And it seems like there's 2 moments in particular that are giving people grief. And those are the, let's see, I think it's this one, the NL MVP one, yes. So this one where you have to tally 2 extra base hits and a stolen base. So for this one, what I would recommend is that you power swing. Don't hit X, make sure you hit square and you power swing. Especially early on, I was finding that I was getting some perfects with the regular swing, the X button, and they just didn't have any pop. They would go straight to the outfielders. It seemed like it was a pitcher up there with a perfect. So I would definitely recommend doing the power swing for this moment. Try to hit your gaps. And for the multi-homer game, for some reason here it says hit 1 home run, but you actually have to hit 2 home runs in this game. And what I would recommend is aiming your PCI low in the zone. I found that the pitcher has a tendency of aiming low with off-speed pitches, so I would sit low and off-speed. Once I did, I kind of started figuring that out. It took me just a few more tries where I nailed 2 home runs in a single game. The other thing I would recommend about this one in particular, the 2 home runs seems like a lot, especially with the amount of pop that Jackie Robinson has. However, the pitcher in this game is never changed. So what ends up happening is that you end up having maybe about 6, 7, sometimes even 8 at-bats in a single game. So if you're in the 5th inning and you're only on your 3rd at-bat and you figure you might have 1 more, and so you figure you might restart, I would hold off. I would, for example, for me, I completed the moment with a home run in the 5th and a home run in the 8th, and those were, I believe, were my 4th and my 7th at bats. So this isn't your typical moment where you're gonna get 3 to 4 at bats. You might get 7 or 8. So and then this pitcher in particular is also just a common pitcher, I think, maybe a bronze. And so by the 5th inning, usually his stamina is completely depleted. So he ends up giving you more pitches to hit in the later half of the game. So don't get discouraged if you don't hit a home run in the first at bat. I would actually stick it out before you restart. That usually I was finding I was getting most of my home runs later on in the game. So that's probably what I would recommend, and obviously power swing, of course, since you want to get home runs. But on that one, just don't get discouraged. Play through most of the games. You're gonna end up with 6, 7 at bats per game. So don't restart too early is another thing I would say. Alright, just wanted to switch my view so I can show you guys the actual card. So the first one you get from completing some of the moments in the missions is this gold Jackie Robinson card. It's a first base. So you can see his contact versus righty 78. Contact versus lefty is obviously better with the 91. Power versus right is practically non-existent, which makes some of the moments difficult to complete. The power versus left is 58, which is still, you know, it's underwhelming, but the speed is fantastic at 95. Defense is decent. So all in all, this is probably one of those cards that you're not going to use very much unless it's for a specific event or something like that. The other thing that might stand out to some of you guys is the 99 bunt. If you like bunting for hits, then this is probably a card you want to look at. I personally don't really do that, but that is an option. The actual 88 diamond, which is the end game one where that people are going for, is this one. You get your 85 contact righties, 110 lefty. Power numbers are still fairly weak. You get 53 against righties, 71 against lefties. His speed actually goes down, and his position is, instead of a first base, you get a left field, and he doesn't even have first base as a secondary. And his defense isn't really good enough to play him anywhere in his secondaries, maybe second base, but that's about it. So just kind of knowing where, you know, what kind of cards are out in the market. This is probably not going to make too many people's teams, so the card itself might not look like it's worth a grind, and it probably isn't worth a grind for me. If I just were looking at the card itself, he's not going to make my team, but it's these other rewards you get along the way. For example, this diamond reward here, the grip is going to give you significant stat boost on your created player. You get this bat here, which is going to help for collections. You get the socks, diamond socks, which is going to give a nice stat boost to your created player. So in reality, and then the ballin' is a habit pack. So the rewards you get along the way, in my opinion, are worth the grind. And if you're really good at the game and you're willing to tackle some of these missions, like the conquest missions here in the stage 2 and stage 1, then you might end up getting, you know, five standard packs at the end of the day and some more XP and stubs. So the card itself might feel underwhelming to you, but overall the rewards you get along the way seem worth it to me. As far as the missions, the one thing I would say that I noticed was that you might want to, if you're interested in knocking out the stage 2 missions for Jackie Robinson, what you can do is go into a conquest, go into the Steel fan games, because right there you can set the difficulty no matter how many players you have on the map. So right there you can set it on rookie, and you can pick the pitcher you want. So you can actually pick your 5th pitcher. So that will give you the opportunity to face the 5th pitcher of the team you're facing. So it's going to be an easier pitcher to face up against. A lot of the times they're bronzes. So, and then you want to place Jackie Robinson first in the lineup. You go into the game and you try to complete these missions here. So you're going to want to go for a double or a triple on that very first at bat, and if you don't succeed, just quit. You don't have to go through the rest of your lineup. You don't have to pitch against the computer. You quit until you complete one of these missions. And if you don't want to play the rest of the game, if you quit after completing, for example, a double, it will still count for this mission. So if you, on the very first at bat, you get a double and you quit on your next batter, you're going to come here and you're going to see you're going to have 1 out of 7 doubles, and you're going to repeat, rinse and repeat until you complete these missions here. And then the conquest, if there's a conquest you haven't completed that you legitimately need to complete and play and beat the computer, I would recommend using Jackie Robinson in those games. You just need 42 innings, so you're looking at, shoot, I'm bad at math, 12, 12, 13, you need like 14 games of 3-inning baseball to complete this one, and that actually gives you a nice chunk of 15. And especially if it's a conquest map you haven't completed, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, which I love doing, completing multiple missions at once. So that's pretty much it for the 2 player programs. Just kind of giving you guys a couple of tips, some things to look out for, so that you can complete these missions as fast and efficiently as possible. So happy grinding, you guys. I wish you guys luck. I hope you guys aren't struggling. I've been seeing some people out there spending hours on this Jackie Robinson program, in particular, the moments. So I hope the tips helped you guys, and if you enjoyed the video, if you would please hit the like button, I would greatly appreciate it. I'll be seeing you guys again shortly.